r/AskReddit. Pizza guys of Reddit. What's the strangest thing you've seen when delivering pizzas? I deliver for DoorDash and Grubhub. Sometimes pizzas. One time I picked up an order from each app. Same exact order. From the same restaurant. Both named James. To the same hotel. When I knocked on the door, two guys were there and asked me which was I, DoorDash or Grubhub. I told them I was both and have both orders. They started to laugh really hard. When I asked what was so funny, they told me they had a bet on which one would come first. They thought it was going to be two different drivers and never thought one person would be using both apps. I laughed too and asked them which one was James. They told me they are both named James. I still wonder what other funny things those two guys try come up with. Customer paid with a card and he had instructions to leave the pizza on a bench in a public area. Drop it off and quickly leave the area. I left but pulled on a side street where I could see the bench. I wait probably close to 5 minutes and then I see a man bust out of a dilapidated building I thought was empty. He runs up and grabs the pizza. He spins a whole 360 degrees and he is glancing in every direction as if he was afraid he was being watched. Then he hurries back to the place and when he gets to the door he sees me and his eyes get huge and wide. Paranoid and fearful. He slammed the door shut. I just think he was tweaking or something wouldn't be out of the ordinary around here. Was delivering to a hotel. Had a guy pass out on me 3 separate times in a 10-minute encounter. Apparently he was narcoleptic, but it still scared the crap out of me. I delivered to a hotel in the middle of a local golf course. Called the number to let them know I was there and was told to come on up, get to the room, and when the guy answered, there was a large group of guys, all in golf attire, surrounding a single guy in a chair. He was bound and blindfolded. The one that answered didn't even bat an eye, just asked how much and tipped me $30 bucks. Warily I took the money and walked away, but before the door was fully closed, I heard one on the guys ask, I wonder if he knows this is a. Before I even left the parking lot, the guy that answered the door called me to say that the bound guy was his brother and he was bound and blindfolded because it's his bachelor party and the stripper was waiting to come out. I just showed up way earlier than they thought I would. Some dude opened the apartment door completely naked. I was stunned, but what came after that made me ask myself, is he some kind of ducking magician? He put a hand behind his back and pulled a wallet. Only reasonable explanation I could give myself was that he tucked the wallet between his butt cheeks. Just simply coming up and there were 3 guys in underwear waiting for me, handing the pizzas over, and more just start coming out in underwear, and these were also wearing cowboy hats and native headdresses. Some kind of bro Halloween party or something. Got to grab my tip out of the dude's bra. It was funny as hell, but when I left the building I had to process for a moment what the hell happened. Some guy ordered a large pet pizza. When I got to the house he wasn't there, so I called him out. He told me he was in the bathroom taking a shit and I had to wait 18ish minutes to get my pay. I had 2 teenage girls open the door in their underwear. As a joke, I guess. They were probably 16 or something. They think it's funny, but I had to report it to my manager and hope nothing came of it. I was like 20 at the time. Just the other day showed up to a house to be greeted by 2 guys, about 25, on the roof in underwear, clearly ecstatic about the pizza being delivered. Did you Walter White the pizza up there? Had someone answer the door once with a snake on his shoulders. Not like a milk snake or a garter, but a bull python, probably about 6 feet long. As he closed the door I heard him say to someone that I hadn't reacted at all, LOL. Sounded so disappointed. Edit to clarify. This was almost a year ago. I am not a snake expert, so it is quite possible I misidentified the species. Thanks to those who pointed out my mistake. I once delivered a pizza late at night. The person who took the call told me that the person who ordered, let's call him Mark, was an old man and may take a while to get to the door. I get to the house and all the lights are off. No car in the driveway. I ring the doorbell. No answer. I knock on the door. No answer. I call the person's phone. No answer. Call again. Still nothing. At this point I had waited for about 15 minutes for this person and was walking back to my car to leave when I hear the front door open. So I go back. Again. There aren't any lights on, so I can only see the head of a young woman peek from behind the door, and she refuses to open it all the way. even to take the pizza. I then hear another woman behind her saying who cares if he sees. Open the door. So she opens it a little more to sign the receipt. She couldn't see, so I offer to shine my phone's flashlight so she can sign the receipt. I then realize that both of these women are naked. Me being the good employee, I was averted my eyes as she signed the receipt, and I start walking back to my car. As I was walking away, one of the women yells to me, "Have a good night, you know Marcus." And I burst into laughter as I had totally forgot that this was the house of an elderly man. Back in college when I used to deliver pizzas, I delivered to the local county jail. An officer was taking someone to jail. The guy going to jail, still with his hands cuffed behind his back, got away from the officer and took off as I was walking in and ran into me. I'm pretty sure this guy was tripping on meth. The officer caught up to both of us on the ground and were able to subdue him. I was covered pizza sauce and the officers on shift took the pizza, paid, and each gave me $20. I told my manager and we remade the order for the officers and I redelivered the order. The police were grateful and I was given another tip. One deliver and I made about $400. I should add, every time they ordered pizza from us again, they always requested the guy who knew how to take a charge and would always tip me well. Good times. Not mine. My father's story from back when was delivering 4 Domino's into a quite wealthy area. Knocks on the door, but off shuffling around inside. Guy opens it wearing a silk smoking jacket. Woman in the background on the couch full naked. Hands my dad $100 bill for the one pizza order and asks if you can go grab me a gallon of milk and bring it back. Keep the change. They got their milk. I was delivering a pizza to a high rise once on a Saturday night. Got in the elevator and there was a guy dressed like a pimp who tried to buy my pizza from me that I was about to deliver. He didn't even ask what kind or what size, he just pulled out a $100 bill and said, "I buy that for $100, and I politely turned him down. So he pulled out another $100 and offered me $200. I told him I could get fired. Man, that was hard to turn down. Here's where things get totally ducked up. When I get to the door of the guy I am delivering it to, he opens the door and is dressed like a pimp also. Like, huge colorful jacket, and he grabs the pizza and gives me a $100 bill and shuts the door. Pizza was about $35, so a $65 tip. TLDR. Got the biggest tip of my life from a guy dressed like a pimp just seconds after turning down the biggest bribe of my life from another guy dressed like a pimp. I walked into a hotel room. There was a guy in a towel, a girl covered by blankets in the bed, and a handyman installing a pole. Another time, I was met by a woman who decided that wearing pants was optional. Delivered a pizza to the back door of a funeral home. 2 guys in their 20s answer the door, both wearing long black rubber aprons over their shirts and ties, and long black rubber gloves. The aprons were glistening with some fluid or other. Fortunately, the guy paying took off his gloves before pulling out his wallet and paying. I was only 18 at the time. Kinda freaked me out, to the point that today, 42 years later, I still remember it. A previous co-worker of mine delivered pizza when he was in college, and he told me that he once pulled up to a house and a group of high schoolers ran across the street with a finish line when he got there. They ordered from Pizza Hut and Domino's at the same time. I don't remember which one he worked for, but he won the race. I delivered a pizza to this house, and when I was standing on the front steps waiting for the guy to pay, I could hear all this hootin' and hollerin' from inside. The guy keeps looking back into the living room and laughing. After punching in his info, he hands the machine back to me and says, "Duck man, you gotta see this." He steps back and I walk into the living room where there's probably 5 other dudes watching some guy duck this 700-pound woman's folded over stomach on a massive TV. I was delivering to a trailer park and heard the strains of bad karaoke from the driveway. Went and knocked on the door. Was greeted by a 50-something couple in their underwear who insisted I come in to set the food down and receive payment. The guy offered me a beer and asked me to stay and party. I told him I couldn't. My boss would be mad. He started doling out my tip in ones, with which he would beckon and retreat deeper into the trailer. His wife kept eyeing me and giggling. I ended it at $3 worth of tip and just left as stoically as I could, then broke down laughing maniacally in my car. I've been delivering food in general for 2 years. I've done just over 3,500 deliveries and unfortunately I haven't seen a single strange thing, not even something simple like a naked person. One of our neighbors killed a pizza guy. Pizza guy was working his way through college. Neighbor got life for very premeditated murder. There was this house where a young couple had ordered pizza. I reached quite early and probably disturbed their sex session. The drunk dude had no idea that he had put on his girl's skirt. Not strange, but very difficult not to laugh at. Not something I've seen but something I helped arrange for a pizza delivery guy. Worked at a pizza place in high school. One of the delivery guys was a former army ranger. He was a blast and loved practical jokes. Well, we had a new delivery guy start one night and the army ranger called and ordered pizza. We thought it would be funny to play a joke on new guy, so we asked army ranger to do something funny to new guy when he shows up. New guy goes out and delivers the pizza to army ranger, not knowing he also worked there, and when he came back he was very quiet and looked a little disturbed. I called up army ranger and asked him what he did to new guy. Army ranger answered the door wearing his girlfriend's lingerie and an army helmet. Not the sight a new driver is hoping to see, I suspect. Edit. Thank you, kind strangers. When the karma is low and the upvotes are slow, I'll point to this thread as proof that I can read it. This guy would order boneless chicken wings, a 2-liter of Diet Pepsi and the cinnamon rolls every Friday. I can't remember the name on the order. I think it was Michelle. Well, a woman never answered the door and this guy gave us all the heebie-jeebies. One day I said, oh, why is Michelle always on the order? Michelle was his cat. The cat would eat the chicken and he would eat the cinnamon rolls. I don't know if this counts as strange, but there was this one house I'd frequently deliver to. Polite woman in her late 20s, maybe early 30s would answer, and every time I deliver pizza there, her 3YO son would run up all excited and say thanks dad. Or craziest coincidence, I delivered pizza to this guy. He tipped me with $3 2 bills. 2 months later, I went off to college, 750 miles away, and he was my intro calculus professor. One time while out for a delivery, I get to this house and a dude with no shirt on, scraggly curly hair and beard going every direction, eyes red as the devil's dong, looks like he's been up for days, holds up a mandolin and just says, do you know how to play this thing? I chuckle and say no. The dude slumps and looks down, yells back to friends, Duckman, pizza company. Guy doesn't know either. Another friend came to pay me and took the pizza. Not entirely crazy, but definitely memorable. Had a customer's outside cat bring him a dead squirrel with its heart visible from its chest cavity ripped open once as I was delivering the food. That was something. Also had a couple of old gay guys try to coerce me into entering their home, which was mostly hidden from view after their front door hallway. Noped out of that one real quick. Dude tried to say he'd tip me $10 more next time if I came inside. One of the most noteworthy customers though was this guy named David. Dude must have been over 50 and kept telling me way too much about his personal life. By the time I had finished working at that job, I knew all about his crackhead GF, now deceased, her daughter, whom he described as smoking hot, his intentions of trading sex with her for drugs, his plan to open a sex dojo where he would be the guru and women would supposedly pay to come have sex with him. Dude always talked to me like I was his long lost friend, so it could have been worse, but he was quite the character. A guy was taking the order while his GF was blowing him. That was just creepy. Thanks science for online payments, since I didn't have to touch anything he handled. A dude answering the door with a full-blown stiffy. Didn't expect us to deliver early. He was still busy with his wife. Lots of sword fights. Showed up to a mansion in the rich part of suburbs. The house was completely dark, so I call the number. No answer. I get out and ring the doorbell 3 times. No answer. I start banging on the door and call again with no answer. All of a sudden the door flies open and some guy in his underwear and open bathrobe, breathing all heavy and sweating, reaches out, snags the pizza, just throws money at me and shuts the door. Another time I show up and the guy opens all excited with a big creepy smile on his face, gestures me to come in and I say no. He won't do anything until I step inside. So I take a step in and he says to me, okay, so place the pizza on the floor right there. Points to specific place. Place the Pepsi there, points to a coffee table, and put my breadsticks there, points to the opposite side of where the pizza is. I just look at him and say okay. As soon as I do it he says okay, your money is on the floor by the door. Have an amazing day. Thank you very much. So I walked out backwards, not taking my eyes off him. Grab my money and leave. Weird ducking people out there, man. Bro, you made it to the end. You're a ducking beast. I'll cut you a deal. Smash like and subscribe for more curated content. It's free and that's a great price.